It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Wednesday episode of The Oil Stream. Nielsen and Gazzola with you, and Tommy is no longer gallivanting around the United States. Home, my man.
It's nice to be home. That first sleep in your own bed is amazing. I always cherish it. And I was driving back into the city, and I was like, you know what? It's good to be home.
You like it here, don't you, Tommy?
This is my home, baby. Always comfortable here. And the other thing, too, when I got back into the city, I came back a couple days early and kind of told people I was still off until today.
Sneaky boy.
I just wanted some R&R at home. And I was just like, boy, like, it's now time to get going again. Like, this is the start of hockey season, basically, with World Juniors coming up. And I know a lot of people still have some time off this month, but for me, we're going into World Juniors, doing some work with the IIHF and Hockey Canada, doing a show for them next week. And it's already begun, Dusty. And then this episode of the Oil Stream kind of gets us going into motion. I think this is like the unofficial start to next season. Isn't that fair?
It kind of feels like that. Like most of free agency, most of the stuff's taken care of. The any sort of significant move made now would be surprising, I think. So I think that's fair. So nothing says a return home for Tommy like a delicious Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen chicken sandwich. Get one today or get some of those nugs and the various sauces. And happy to say we're on the verge of locking up Popeye's for another year here with the Oil Stream as well. So huge shout out to Furby and the crew over there. I'm going to tweet it out today. I was at the mall on Monday, and I took a picture of their coming soon location. They got that huge corner lot in the food court. Can't wait to be able to get a Popeye's chicken sandwich. The West Edmonton Mall chicken game is about to be taken through the roof. Like right now, there's a good fried chicken at Bubba Gump. If you've been to Bubba Gump, they got a nice little buttermilk fried chicken. But Popeye's is about to take that food court to the next level, buddy.
I love Popeye's, and great to see Furby and the gang. Looks like they're on board for another season, so we're thankful to them. It's always been a good relationship. And then when I make my way to West Edmonton Mall, which is few and far between every year, I go once or twice. You know where I'm stopping. I'm getting those nugs with the blackened ranch.
We go to the mall way too often, but we live like 5 minutes from it.
Yes.
The kids absolutely love it. We used to go all the time when they were little just to kill time. So, but anyway, Popeye's coming soon at West Edmonton Mall. We'll be there. I've heard they've got some pretty cool plans when they all open it involving the band and stuff. That's all I'm going to say now. Okay. It's going to be, but there's going to be some Oilers tie in there. It's going to be great. So, keep an eye out for that one day at West Edmonton Mall. Let's start with Kevin Lowe. You worked for the organization for a long time, Tommy. I've been around town for 10 to 12 years. Have Kevin on the show multiple times. I had a chance to induct him. Well, I didn't induct him. I hosted induction night for the Alberta Hockey Hall of Fame in Banff a few years back. He went in. Fleury went in. So two different vibes going on there with Kevin Fleury. And then Medicine Hat. I think they had back-to-back WHL champions. Those teams went in. It was a great night, and had a chance to kind of hang out with him a little bit after, and just I mean you know much more than me, but he's just a really, really, really nice guy. And to do he's done it, score the first goal, was the first pick of the team. Delivered all those cups, left one cups, came back, worked in every single role essentially in the organization. It's an interesting legacy because nobody else has done everything that he's done for the organization. And then there's a couple of comments that obviously were taken horribly, which have kind of stuck with him, which I get it. He said it, so he has to own it. Part of it is unfair. Part of it to me is just the entire situation is hilarious. Like, I know people take things very seriously. I just look at it and laugh my ass off, to be honest with you. But, I mean, your dealings with Kevin, when you look at his legacy, Tommy, what's it mean?
My dealings with him from the get-go when I started at what was Rexall Sports and Entertainment back in 2010, tremendous. Down-to-earth guy, someone you could actually have a conversation with, and he genuinely cared about you. He knows everybody in the hockey world. He knows people beyond the hockey world that are in very high places. You said it. He's done it all, Dusty. Yeah. And the one thing that I know about Kevin Lowe is he's a proud Edmontonian and Albertan. And I know he's from La Chute, Quebec. I think that's an English-speaking French or Quebec town. but he is wholeheartedly an Edmontonian. He's the one guy that really has stuck around. He's waved the Oilers flag. He's waved the Edmonton flag. And to him, this city is a monster part of him, and vice versa, obviously. So my dealings with him have always been tremendous. I love seeing him, chatting with him, catching up with him. He was always very forthcoming and open about stuff. Whenever there was kind of sketchy stuff happening or people were wondering things, he would tell me, hey, here's what's going on, just so you know. And he didn't really hold back unless it was extremely sensitive material that couldn't be passed on. But he had that trust in me, and I think continues to do so, although I don't talk to him nowhere near as much as I used to. But he did have his gaffes when he was an exec for the team. I remember working for the team when some of those were happening. I remember that press conference with him and Mac T, and I was just like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I
can't
wild.
say anything.
I was at that one too. I was like 3 rows back, and I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, oh my God, he's getting so fired up right now. But that's, you know what? I'll give him credit. One of the reasons, and I know the 2 tiers, it's not like he sat there and said, we've got all these multiple tiers and these people are worth way less. He just said, there's different way they look at the fans. I get it. Yes. And, I know a thing or two about Whittick. I was like, oh, here he goes. But the passion comes from the fact that he cares so much about the organization. It's just like all of the fans who get pissed off about it. He was getting pissed off because of the way that, the organization was being attacked by people. So I mean, I look back now and I really laugh at it. At the time, I was just like, oh no, I don't know how this is going to go over. And it didn't go over well, but I think you have to give the guy credit. What did he come on the staff in 98 as an assistant coach and then worked his way up, ended up, basically holding every role. And for lack of a better term, he was here through a lot of shit, and he didn't give up on them. He didn't bail on them. A lot of the other, not that these other guys bailed, but the other alumni guys would pop in and out and come here for a bit and, make an appearance here or there. He was entrenched in it. And I think when you're around him and you talk to him, you really get the sense that, it's his life. The Edmonton Oilers were his life. It's that simple.
The other thing about him too is he is the type of guy that, and this is something I've observed and learned, is that he's the guy that brings the big dogs when it comes to the alumni in. They always listen to him.
It's his call.
99, 11, 7, 31. They always listen to Kevin when he sends that call out. But he also has the ear of the other guys. He's got the 90s generation. Doug Waite, who I just saw a week and a half ago and was hanging out with. And we were telling a kid from Texas, 21-year-old, who also his really rich kid, smart, funny guy, but he didn't know Doug as the Oiler or the hockey, just knew Doug was a hockey guy. And I was like, no, man, and literally it was me and Doug explaining to him the Oilers and the Stars in the late 90s. And I'm like, if Doug Waite shows up in Edmonton, he gets the white glove treatment because people remember how hard he worked and how much they loved that team and all the things that they did and those crazy runs or small runs in the playoffs. And this kid was like, really? Oh my God, Doug, I didn't know that. And so Kevin Lowe's the kind of guy that can pull that crew together. And then, the newer era, they know who Kevin is. They respect everything he did, all that. But he's able to pull it all together. He is the central piece. Whereas, Glenn Sather kind of was
That's a good point.
during the 80s and 90s. Kevin Lowe has taken on that mantle, and he brings everyone from the Oilers universe together. He is the central figure. That's the best way to describe him. And
I think you nailed it, buddy. I think that's the best way to describe it. For the Oilers universe, he's a central figure. Yeah.
Yep. And the 2-tier thing, I'm not going to defend him because he said it and you went through all the shit. But, back in the Rexall Sports days, I had to go and sit in these stupid marketing meetings. And there's nothing more that I hate than marketing meetings. Just tell me what I need to say. Yeah. And give me the reads and all that. If you want my input, sure. But we used to get dragged through these marketing meetings. And so would guys like Kevin and all the executives at the time when Rexall Sports was 100 people staff total. That included hockey ops. Now it's 250, 300. You're just a number over there. And that it lost its luster. But the tier 1, tier 2 thing is those were buzzwords that the marketing people that were working there at the time, those are the types of words that they would use. And I think because he had to be in those meetings, he would hear that shit and it came out. And the season ticket holders are the priority. Yes, everyone else that loves the Oilers is obviously part of the family, but when people are shelling out 100 grand, 60 grand, 25 grand, like
they are in a different
they
tier.
obviously they get a little bit more love.
Yeah,
exactly. And
yeah.
he did not articulate that well at all. And I feel like when I think about that, I'm like, I think that's probably where he got that tier 1 thing. It sounds like the marketing buzzwords that were being used back in those days. Because I remember sitting through those stupid meetings being like, what are they even talking about? Like, I don't understand these stupid buzzwords that they're all saying. And they all nod and be like, oh, that's great. That's great. And all of us got dragged into those meetings. So, I mean, there's a little peek behind the curtain for some people, if you're wondering. I'm not making an excuse for what he said, but he truly bleeds orange and blue, unlike anyone else.
What do you think what do you think was more memorable? The tearing of the fans or the knowing a thing or two about winning? Because I prefer, I thought the knowing a thing or two about winning was basically like whipping it out and flopping it on the table. I was just like, okay. The other one, obviously some criticism, but I mean, in the role that he was in, I understand how people say, well, you haven't won anything, in the role that you're in. I get it. But as far as winning and being around a winning atmosphere, that was such a day, man. Wow.
I've got a story about I know a thing or two about winning. And I mean, I think you were in that press conference too when he said that. And I was like, holy crap, I didn't know that this could get any better and worse at the same time. But John McKinnon, who was at the Journal at the time, was going back and forth with him.
I remember John.
John didn't care who he was talking to. Like, he wanted the story. Like, John
he was an old school scribe, man.
Yep. And John was needling those guys so hard. And Kalo finally erupted with I know a thing or two about winning. But here's the story, is when they made that announcement, I think it was Mac T as GM and Kevin, and I think Scott Housen had a more prominent role. They gathered the team in the old locker room at the Coliseum. And a lot of the things that they said in that press conference, they said to the players. And that team sucked, obviously. Like, that was a terrible team. And I remember being told the guys in the room when Mac T and Kalo were telling them about winning and a culture of winning and what it takes. Even though those guys had a lot of rings, I guess the players kind of like looked at each other and like rolled their eyes and they're like, it's Craig McTavish and Kevin Lowe. Like, all due respect, one guy's a Hall of Famer, but at the time, that messaging just landed with a thud. Yeah, I guess the guys, I was told that they just rolled their eyes when they kept hearing this stuff because they're like, yeah, we know you guys did that, but you guys had 99, 11, 31, 7. Oh, all those guys, 9.
Yeah, different core, that's 17. For sure. Yeah,
that's true. And they're so it's kind of funny that even though those guys did it, it didn't resonate the way that they wanted it to.
Anyway, congratulations to Kevin Lowe, who is, Tommy, I think, aptly compared it to him being the center of the Oilers franchise universe. And I think that's a good way to put it. That's, lots of good stories there, though. I can't imagine Taylor Hall rolling his eyes at something. Huh. That's weird. Yeah. What are the odds of that?
Congrats to Kevin. He's a great human being and a true Oiler. So, yeah. And the odds of Taylor Hall rolling his eyes, not surprising.
Yeah. All right, let's get to your Boston Pizza appetizer. Of course, the patio is open. Maybe not ideal today with some of the rain that we've got in the forecast, but they got the canopies over the tables as well, so that could certainly help. Watch for us to be on location in Boston Pizza later this month. We'll give you all the details of that, so you can pop by for lunch, watch an oil stream live. That'll be cool. Happy hour daily from 2 to 5, and then again from 9 until close. So if you are looking for a bite to eat, sneaking out this afternoon, you're looking for some good prices on drinks, check out Happy Hour at all of your Boston Pizza locations daily from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. to close. Tommy asked this question today and had a bunch of great responses on the Nielsen show this morning, and that was, where does Nuge make this lineup better? Like, where in the lineup for Nuge and Hopkins, because he's versatile. He can play left wing, can play second line left wing, can play third line left wing, can play third line center. If you want to play Draisaitl and McDavid together, he can play second line center for you. Maybe not the best spot for him at this stage of his career, but where do you think Nuge has to be for the Oilers to be at their best with the way their lineup is currently constructed?
To have that overall impact and make the team stronger, I like the idea of him playing third line center and taking a regular shift there, and then gets his spot duty in the top 6 when he's needed. And then obviously he gets his PK and power play time. So he's getting his minutes. Dusty, he's going to get his points. And then at the same time, he solidifies the lower part of the roster. And I know there's probably some people that are like, wow, you can't have a $5 million player being your third line center. Yes, you can. It speaks to the depth. Yes, you can. And if he's giving you 50 to 60 points plus, that's a pretty damn good third line center. It speaks to your depth when you have 2 of the best players in the world centering your top 2 lines. We get caught up in the idea of static lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, first pair, second pair, third pair. The roster, the lineup, it fluctuates throughout the entirety of a game. And I think, that's starting to become a realization. So a guy who's listed as third line center, but he's really playing 18, 19 minutes with power play PK time. Is he a third line player? No. But I think that bolsters the lineup overall is when he's the third line center and he has a couple of good NHLers on his flanks and they can chip in every now and then. They don't get caved in their own zone. And I'll add this. Nugent Hopkins is at his best at center when he's moving his feet. And in the last couple of years, there's been moments where he just hasn't been moving his feet.
That's a good point.
And you're like, what's going on? Like he's ineffective when he doesn't move his feet. He's gliding. He's reactive rather than proactive. When he's going and he's moving and at center, I think he's at his best.
I think that's where I think the team can be at its best too, is if Nugent Hopkins is a third line center. Now, his 40% in the faceoff circle, not ideal for a third line center. No. If you have to run Ryan out there the odd time to take defensive zone faceoff, I guess you could certainly do that. Now, I mean, there's a couple of ways you can look at it if Nuge is third line center. What it does is, if you want, you can continue to play Kane and Hyman on the left side, where I think Hyman is best. The right side, you've got Kyler Yamamoto in the top 6. I'm not too sure who else would be up there. Obviously, you know where I would go. Not sure if that's a fit. I also don't mind the idea of Puljujarvi pushing a lot of pace with Nuge if he is here. Like, if you could, I don't know, I guess who would be, because to me, Nuge or Puljujarvi are in your top 6. However, for this experiment, if Nuge is centering your third line and Jesse Puljujarvi is here and starts on the right side, and maybe there's a bit of a compromise there, and you're looking at Puljujarvi, you're saying, hey, you're playing with a guy who's usually in the top 6. You got 2 top 6 forwards on the third line. That's something that, maybe could motivate all of those guys, and then Fogle, Holloway, I don't know, somebody on the other side. Part of me wants to say, I don't care who plays with Kane and McDavid, because it's Kane and McDavid, and they're going to produce a ton on their own, which is a benefit that you get when you have a guy like Connor McDavid. But how does the rest of that top 6 fill out if Nuge is in fact your third line center?
If Holloway has a good camp and he's going to get a lot of opportunity, obviously he's going to play in a bunch of those games and they're going to take a good hard look at him. I think it would be best to start him in the top 6, because if you're putting him into a third line role, which is kind of a checking role, even though he might have a good centerman and good right winger on the other side, I think he would benefit from playing on one of those top 2 lines. Now, he has to earn that spot, Dusty. And because
you could play Hyman with McDavid and Kane and put Holloway on the left side with Draisaitl, right? Or even put Hyman on the right side there, throw Yamo up with McDavid and
Flexibility is still a theme, and that's something that's been happening for the last couple of years, and it's good. Is it ideal? Do you have a Stanley Cup contending team on day one? Maybe not, but like I tell people and try to explain is like, and especially to those that are saying, what's this team right now? They're the same team that lost in the 3rd round. Well, yeah, that's the team that got to the conference final.
Yeah.
Like it can get better.
That's true.
That's the starting
with
point. With
more consistency in net, you would hope. So there you go.
Like that's the starting point. That's pretty damn good. You top 4. And then you can mold it and shape it and see where there are deficiencies that develop throughout the course of the season. And then if you're Ken Holland and if you're an Oiler fan, hopefully the team improves and fills those holes and makes some moves and all that. Like it can be an evolution throughout the course of the season. So I mean, I could see Holloway, if he has a good camp, having a look up there, and how long it lasts, up to Dylan Holloway, and how well he can adapt to the NHL level, if that happens. But yeah, Dusty, I mean, it's interesting. It really is. And we'll see how it develops.
It's not our job to figure it out. It's Jay Woodcroft's job to figure it out. So we'll see how that plays out. But that is your Boston Pizza Appetizer here on the Oil Stream. Remember, Pasta Tuesday. Man, I used to crush Pasta Tuesday back in the day.
What would you get?
I get the chicken. I'm a big chicken Alfredo guy. Chicken Alfredo guy. So I would get, but baked with cheese and meatballs. How's that?
That's delicious. I think my go-to when it was pasta at BP's was the tortellini with the rosé sauce. So like Alfredo.
Way different than me. Yeah.
And you get some Italian sausage in there. Molto bene.
Yeah. Oh man, I might have to do that. Today's Wednesday? Maybe next Tuesday with the family. We'll hit up Pasta Tuesday. Well, yeah, we could go. You could come with my family. Tommy's coming out for dinner with the Nielsen's tonight. We're gonna go for some Pasta Tuesday, and I'm gonna get myself hooked up with some fettuccine Alfredo baked with cheese and meatballs. Absolutely delicious. Happy hour daily from 2 to 5 and 9 to close at Boston Pizza. A couple other things to get to on this episode of the Oil Stream. Yamamoto Arbitration is starting to creep up here, Tommy. We've seen a lot of guys get things sorted out without having to worry about it, which is what usually happens. Are you expecting some Yamamoto news in the next 3 days?
I have to check in, but I would hope so if they avoid arbitration, because it's not a pretty process. So I don't know how much he can demand. I think maybe he gets a little bit more than what Puljujarvi got. I guess they'll be fighting over term potentially as well. If he's a guy that's in the plans more long-term than Jesse Puljujarvi, which I think is kind of obvious at this point. And I can't see him going after Joel Farabee money or asking for that kind of money again.
I can't believe he was even thinking that last year. Farabee had $5 million. Like, Yamo honestly thought he was going to get $5 million last year.
That was the hubbub. And the last discussion I had, and when I asked about Yamamoto, is it sounded like they're pretty confident something would get done. Now, granted, that was a month and a half ago, but my understanding is the relationship, it's pretty good, but we'll see where it goes. I mean, arbitration can mess up a lot of things. I can't see him getting more than 3.25 or something like that.
And every single morning on my show, I get asked, Dusty, what are your thoughts on the rumors that Phil Kessel might sign in Edmonton? Tommy, let me ask you this. Tommy, what are your thoughts on the rumors that Phil Kessel might sign in Edmonton?
Well, my initial thought is it's just fans getting excited about any name that's out there, which is something that happens. And then the fact that Ken Holland calls on everybody just adds to it and gives us more chatter. They need a right shot. They might need a right winger. So I don't mind it. I don't particularly love it. I mean, he's clearly on the back nine. He's basically chipping onto the green at 18 with a beer and a hot dog waiting for him on the 19th hole.
And a spot in the beauty list.
Yeah, a spot on the beauty list.
For sure.
I don't think it'll happen. I could see Ken Holland making a call just to say, hey, what's it going to cost? What do you think?
Right now, they don't have money to sign. They don't have enough to get McLeod and Yamo done almost. So
yeah, exactly.
I mean,
so
something got to get before that. But.
Highly unlikely. And it would be amazing to have the War Pig here at Edmonton and give us tons of content.
You don't even know.
But
our show
I think it's so unlikely.
God. All we want is a War Pig delivery for the Nielsen show, man. That would be insane. Yeah. It would be incredible. So, all right. That's going to do it for another episode of the Oil Stream, brought to you by Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen, opening soon at the food court near the movie theater in West Edmonton Mall. And I cannot wait. Tommy and I will be there getting some delicious chicken sandwiches at the mall when that bad boy opens. Tommy, I'll talk to you in a few days, buddy.
Oh, man, I'm looking at the rundown, and we just didn't have time for that guy that plays left wing. Shoot.
You know what? We'll get to the Fogle haters next episode. Next episode, I want to address you Fogle haters out there, because enough is enough. See you later.
Stop it. See you, Dusty.